The Arizona sun bled across the horizon, turning the canyons to molten gold as the day began to fade. Dusty Grant tugged at the reins of his horse, shadow weary from a long week of riding the open land. He had spent days chasing wild mustangs through the desert plains, his canteen nearly empty, his throat dry as the dust beneath his boots. All he wanted was a quiet spot by the river to rest, maybe catch some sleep beneath the stars. But fate had other plans. A faint cry echoed through the canyon walls in a thin, desperate, and unlike anything he'd heard before. Dusty froze. The cry came again, carried on the wind like a ghost's whisper. He kicked his horse's side, riding hard toward the sound. As he reached the river bend, his heart nearly stopped. A woman was in the water, thrashing, gasping, her arms flailing weakly against the current. The river wasn't deep, but its flow was swift, dragging her toward the jagged rocks. Without hesitation, Dusty leapt from his saddle and plunged into the icy torrent. The shock stole his breath, but he pushed forward, fighting against the pull of the current until he reached her. Her body was limp when he finally caught her. Her long black hair tangled around his arms as he pulled her toward the bank, stumbling onto the muddy shore. She wasn't breathing. Panic clawed at him as he turned her over, pressing his ear to her chest. Silence. No heartbeat. "Come on, girl," he muttered through gritted teeth. "Don't you give up now." He placed his hands on her chest and started compressions, his rough palms pressing rhythmically, desperately. Then he leaned down, sealing his lips over hers, breathing life into her lungs once, twice, again. After what felt like an eternity, she jerked, coughing violently as river water poured from her mouth. Her chest rose with a trembling breath. Her eyes fluttered open, dark, fierce, and full of confusion. Dusty leaned back, gasping, water dripping from his hat brim. "You're all right," he whispered, though his heart still raced. She stared at him silently, the fire of her spirit flickering back to life. In that moment, under the fading light of the desert sun, Dusty Grant had no idea that saving this woman's life would change his own forever. The night crept across the desert like a silent beast. Cold wind hissed through the rocks as Dusty guided the trembling Apache woman toward a nearby cave. She could barely walk, her wet clothes clinging to her skin. Her lips blue from the chill of the river. Shadow, Dusty's horse, followed close behind, snorting softly as the cowboy built a small fire from dry brush and twigs. "Sit close to the flames," Dusty said gently, his deep voice echoing off the cave walls. She hesitated, glancing toward the mouth of the cave as though fearing someone or something might follow them. Finally, she sank to her knees, her dark eyes flickering with both fear and pride. He offered her his coat, rough denim lined with wool. She took it silently, pulling it around her shoulders. The firelight painted her face in amber glow, revealing strong cheekbones and a defiant beauty that took Dusty by surprise. "What's your name?" he asked. "Naya," she replied softly, her accent thick but clear. Dusty nodded. "Naya, you're lucky I came along that river when I did." She looked at him then, her gaze sharp and unreadable. "No luck," she murmured. "Spirit sent you." He chuckled under his breath. "Guess I'll take that as a thank you." She said nothing. Instead, she watched him intently as he wrung the water from his shirt and set it near the fire to dry. When his eyes met hers again, she quickly looked away, but not before he caught a hint of something, fear mixed with confusion. After a long silence, she spoke again. "You touched me," she said, almost in a whisper. Dusty frowned. "Had to." "You weren't breathing." Her jaw tightened. "Among my people, a man who gives breath to a woman gives part of his spirit. That bond cannot be broken." Dusty blinked, not sure he'd heard right. "You're saying I'm tied to you now? That's some kind of superstition?" Her eyes met his again, steady and calm. "Not superstition, law." The fire crackled between them, casting flickering shadows on the cave walls. Outside, coyotes howled under the moonlight. Dusty stared into the flames, realizing with a sinking feeling that his night's good deed had just tangled him in something far deeper than he could understand. The first light of dawn crept into the cave, painting the walls with soft gold. Dusty stirred awake to the sound of horses, many horses, their hooves, pounding the earth outside. He rose quickly, hand on his revolver. But before he could move, Naya stood in front of him, eyes wide with dread. "No," she whispered. "Do not fight. They are my people." Moments later, shadows filled the entrance. Apache warriors dismounted their horses, bows drawn, rifles glinting in the rising sun. They surrounded the cave in silence, a deadly circle of feathers, paint, and fury. At their center stood a tall man, with a scar across his cheek and eyes as sharp as knives. "Father," Naya breathed. Dusty's heart sank. Her father, the Apache chief himself. The old warrior stepped forward, his voice low but burning with authority. "White man," he said in broken English, "you took my daughter." Dusty lifted his hand slowly. "I didn't take her. She was drowning. I saved her life." The chief's eyes narrowed. "And when you gave her your breath, you gave her your spirit. Among my people, such a bond is sacred." He pointed the tip of his spear at Dusty's chest. "Now your life belongs to her." Dusty took a step back, confusion and frustration knotting in his gut. "I didn't mean no disrespect. I just did what anyone would have done."
"Lies," one of the warriors hissed.
"He touches the chief's daughter and speaks of mercy?" Naya moved between them, her voice trembling. "He saved me, father. The river would have taken me." "He did not harm me." The chief's gaze softened for a heartbeat, then hardened again. "The spirits do not care for excuses," he said coldly. "What is done is done." Two warriors seized Dusty's arms, pulling his gun away and binding his wrists with rawhide. He didn't resist, not yet. There were too many of them, and he wasn't about to start a war. As they led him out into the blinding desert light, Naya's eyes met his, full of fear, sorrow, and something deeper she couldn't name. Dusty swallowed hard. He'd faced outlaws, storms, and death before, but never this. One act of kindness had made him an enemy, a captive, and perhaps a husband by a law older than he could understand. The days that followed passed slowly, like sand through a broken hourglass. Dusty Grant sat in a circle of tents deep within the Apache camp, bound not by ropes anymore, but by a fate he couldn't escape. The tribe watched him with wary eyes, some with hatred, others with curiosity. The whispers never stopped. To them, he wasn't just a stranger. He was the man who shared his spirit with the chief's daughter. Naya visited him often, always when the camp grew quiet. She brought him water, bread, and bits of roasted venison. At first, Dusty spoke little, his pride heavy as the desert heat. But her calm voice and gentle eyes slowly broke through his stubborn silence. "You shouldn't keep risking yourself for me," he said one evening as she handed him food. "If your people see us talking like this, they'll turn on you too." She smiled faintly. "They already have. But the spirits say my life and yours are one. I cannot turn away." Dusty looked at her, really looked this time. Her hair shimmered like black silk under the firelight, her face both strong and soft. "You ever think maybe those spirits got it wrong?" he asked quietly. Her eyes met his and there was no hesitation. "No, they never are." That night, when the moon climbed high above the desert, Naya came again, but this time, her expression was serious. "My father will decide your fate at sunrise," she whispered. "He says you must leave our land or stay and become one of us." Dusty's heart pounded. "Stay? You mean—" "As my husband," she finished softly. "If you go, the warriors will hunt you. If you stay, you must live our ways. You will be bound to me, forever." For a long moment, neither spoke. The fire crackled between them and the scent of sage drifted through the air. Dusty's chest tightened. He'd never belonged anywhere. Not to a home, not to a woman. But when he looked at Naya, something deep inside him shifted. He stepped closer, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Guess I've been a wanderer all my life," he said slowly. "Maybe it's time I stopped running." Naya's lips parted in a trembling smile. Their foreheads touched, breath mingling beneath the desert moon. Outside, a coyote howled in the distance, a wild song of love, fate, and the untamed West.